The first of this week's two Torah portions, Bahar, directs the Israelites to begin every 50th year with a shofar blast, proclaiming liberty throughout the land. Every Israelite must return to their ancestral holding, and the land must be allowed to rest with no sowing and no reaping. However, the Torah also demands that the land of Israel lie fallow every 7 years, making the 50th year, the Jubilee year, the second year in a row that the Israelites are not allowed to sow or reap. And the Torah understands just how difficult this sounds. And it tries to reassure the Israelites. But at the end of the day, it simply suggests that a price must be paid to create the way of life our ancestors sought. And as we prepare for a very different kind of Memorial Day this year, I keep coming back to the idea that a price must be paid to nurture the way of life we seek to create. A price expressed in the aphorism carved into the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C., freedom is not free. Indeed, freedom exacts a toll that has been steadily paid at Lexington, Concord, and Saratoga, at Gettysburg, Manassas, and Antietam, at Pearl Harbor, Normandy, and Iwo Jima. And it was paid again this past Wednesday night outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. No, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram never pledged their lives in defense of this country, but they are the latest casualties in a decades-long conflict that threatens the very way of life we've tried to create and evolve over the past 250 years. One based upon the idea that human civilization flourishes best when individuals have the freedom to choose whom to be, whom to worship, and whom to love. Don't get me wrong, there are other very palpable threats to this way of life, foreign and domestic. But make no mistake, those who seek to inspire the murder of innocent civilians in our streets, those who continue to celebrate the brutal rape and massacre of October 7th, those who target Jewish people across the globe for nothing more than being Jewish, regardless of what they might tell you, they're not interested in preserving our way of life. They're interested in toppling it. Not for the sake of Palestinian lives or dignity, because if that mattered to them, then the hostages would have been returned long ago in exchange for peace, not for prisoner releases, but rather to seize control of what's left after they watch the world burn. Each Memorial Day, I take a few moments alone to read the eulogies of my classmates and friends who gave their lives for this country, to honor their willingness to put their life on the line to defend our way of life. And I don't actually know if their sacrifice was in defense of our way of life. You can't really be sure of that. But they were willing, and they did sacrifice. Tonight, Rabbi Yoshi and I have prepared eulogies for Yaron and Sarah, the latest to lose their lives in the name of liberty. And we can't know how it'll all turn out, but we know that we need to make it turn out that way. Yaron Leszczynski, the second of 5 children to an Argentinian Jewish father and a German Christian mother, was born in Israel but moved to Germany with his family while he was still young. His multi-ethnic, multi-religious home, along with his world travels, which brought him back to Israel and then to the United States, inspired a life dedicated to understanding and creating connections across cultures. Yaron spoke 4 languages and continually sought ways to learn more about other societies, pursuing studies, conferences, and seminars that would enrich his knowledge of civilizations from the Far East to the Middle East. His love and respect for other cultures inspired a career in diplomacy, one which brought him to the Israeli embassy. In fact, the very night he was murdered, he and his girlfriend Sarah were attending a reception for diplomats that examined ways to exercise diplomacy for the benefit of populations at risk throughout the world, including civilians in Gaza. His sense of curiosity was nurtured by Sarah, whose gregariousness provided a ready avenue for his thoughtful and deliberate inquiries. According to Yaron's boss, the Israeli ambassador to the United States, Yaron had purchased an engagement ring and planned to propose to Sarah during an upcoming trip to Israel. Yaron's too brief life serves as a testament to the power of curiosity and commitment, 2 qualities we will need if we ever hope to achieve his dream and what ought to be our dream: a humanity united in peace, mutual respect, and liberty. Zichrono livracha. May his memory remain a blessing to us all.
We remember tonight as well and honor the memory of Sarah Milgram. I imagine that most of us tonight never met her. We likely had never heard her name before this tragedy happened. But we speak her name now with reverence and with love. Sarah Milgram. She was one of us. She is one of us. She was a daughter of Israel, a daughter of the Jewish people, and as it happens, a daughter of Congregation B'nai Yehuda in Kansas City, my Aunt Deborah and Uncle Bruce's synagogue, a community I've been with and davened with, welcomed Shabbat and Jewish holidays with dozens of times. Her Jewish roots were deep, her presence was radiant, and her life was an expression of Jewish values. This week, our colleague at Sarah's home congregation, Rabbi Stephanie Kramer, wrote to the B'nai Yehuda family with these words: "We mourn the loss of Sarah Milgram, a proud member of our congregation, a devoted Zionist, and a radiant presence in every space she entered. Her commitment to the Jewish people wasn't just professional. It was deeply personal, rooted in her upbringing, her values, and her unshakable identity." Sarah Milgram grew up surrounded by Jewish learning, celebration, and community. She was raised by her beloved parents, Bob and Nancy, who, according to Rabbi Kramer, quelled and beamed with pride over their daughter, especially her work in public diplomacy at the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. Sarah's mission was clear: to build bridges, to share the beauty and complexity of Israel with the world, to lift up truth in a time of distortion. Sarah stood for something larger than herself, and she paid the ultimate price for it. On Wednesday night, Sarah and her partner, Yaron Leszczynski, were murdered outside the Capitol Jewish Museum And make no mistake, they were targeted because they were Jews. Because they lived their identity with pride and purpose, the killer was looking for Jews to slaughter. But hate will not have the last word. We won't allow it. Our tradition commands us, zachor, remember. And in Judaism, remembering is not passive. It is an obligation. It is a mitzvah. It is active. To remember Sarah is to carry forward the values she embodied, the work she was passionate about, the traditions that illuminated her life. As Rabbi Kramer wrote, Sarah grew up in the B'nai Yehuda community. She celebrated with us. She learned with us and inspired us with her integrity and purpose. At a time when hate feels close, we respond not with fear, but with unity, not with silence, but with resolve. Sarah's life and legacy demand nothing less. Friends, we are still shaken, broken even, from the events of this week. That intifada that they chanted about globalizing on the college campuses and in the city streets, it has arrived on our shores. We do not know yet what all of this means. We do not know yet how it will unfold, but we know this. We will remember and celebrate Sarah's life and Yaron's life. We will keep their light burning, and we will live the words of the prophet Nehemiah that I wrote to you about this morning. When the exiles returned to Jerusalem approximately 2,500 years ago, to their land of indigeneity, to rebuild the temple that had been destroyed, there were those in the land of Israel who tried to prevent them from their sacred task. And our ancestors had to fight back. They had to protect themselves. The text tells us that the laborers who built the walls of the new temple worked holding a trowel in one hand and a sword in the other. And unfortunately, tragically, painfully, and sadly, this is how we will do the sacred work of building and rebuilding a world of justice, security, and peace. Let us not be naive. With the trowel, we will need the sword. But remember that there are many ways to build and rebuild. We can build bridges to our allies. We can build defenses. We can build identity through storytelling and teaching, healing and sacred art. And there are many ways to protect. We don't need a sword always. We can build vibrant community. We can protect through education and advocacy, and yes, through security and vigilance and strength. We will stand with and for each other, come what may, and we will never, ever give up. We will live our Jewish values and celebrate our Jewish community just as Sarah did. Not with silence, but with joy, with pride, with radiance and resolve. May her memory be a blessing. May her life inspire ours and give us strength. And may we be worthy of the light she gave the world. Yehi Zichram Baruch. May their memories be blessings.